check it out. Episode what?
Is it 6?
6. We'll go with 6 of The Drop. Welcome aboard. Ruben Dominguez, Quinn, Bishiop here. So normally we're talking about new releases and what's out and what people want to look for this week. But not a lot happening this week.
So traditionally on holiday weekends, whether it's Monday holiday, Friday holiday, in this case 4th of July, right. Music companies know that you're distracted. You're thinking about barbecue and not
business move,
not new records. You're thinking about going to the beach or whatever. So,
right.
So generally, the releases for that week are very light, and as such today.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do.
What are we gonna do?
Which, I think it's important. A great thing to do in June or in July or July 1st. Actually, our timing is
perfect,
impeccable.
Right.
We can talk about the best releases of the year so far.
Yeah.
And it's great time to do it. I find that I do a top 10 list every year.
Yeah.
And I find it's very useful because you always forget the stuff that came along earlier.
Smart
in the year.
Man. Write it down.
But if you look at it, you reflect back on that. Oh man, in July these were my favorite records. Really makes you kind of revisit some of those.
Well, you've whet my appetite.
We've got to let's kick it right off. Let's talk dazzling debuts. Let's talk first records from bands.
Got it.
We're going to start with Dry Cleaning and English band, kooky vocalist, and really guitar driven. It's a cool record. It's very different.
It's on 4AD, so
it's on 4AD.
I like where it's going already.
Yep. So it's got kind of real edgy, modern rock sound. And the minute this thing came out, it topped a bunch of lists. And it's a cool record.
Sounds
that band's
like
going places. Ooh. I'm kind of at a loss. I'm not usually, but
they have their own thing.
They have their own thing. Yeah, I mean,
which is rare.
The vocal is really unique.
All right, cool.
Really
Dry
unique,
Cleaning.
So, Dry Cleaning.
List.
And then this record's huge. Everybody's talking about it. The Olivia Rodrigo record.
Yes.
And it's kind of got rush released on CD because she already had 2 huge singles out. Incredibly popular record, and
everybody was talking about it after Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and the funny thing about this record is most dropping the merchandise.
You break it, you buy
it. Most artists wait a while to do a breakup album.
Right.
This is like debut breakup album, which kind
of
reminds
out of the box.
me. Yeah, it's kind of like the Alanis Morissette thing.
Right.
I think the appeal is kind of similar to really kind of a hard-hitting, emotional record from a new female artist. Obviously resonating with people, big deal, and it's cool. She's another artist. That's really
this is one of those artists that it feels like every time I'm listening to Volume or I'm listening to just whatever I'm on any music site, her name comes up.
It's popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And the news the last couple of days was the big single on there has a guitar riff that really sounds a lot like "Pump It Up" by Elvis Costello.
Right. They were talking. Yeah.
And so fans were kind of getting twisted up about it, and I love it that Elvis just put it out there.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the way rock and roll works.
Right.
You take something and you just deconstruct it, and you put it back together, and you make it. What do you say? A beautiful new toy.
They were in fact this one on forever, and whatever. I'm just listening to Volume on the drive on Sirius on the way into work, and they were talking about songs that are the exact same as some other song.
Oh yeah.
They were like like Last Dance with Mary Jane is Danny California.
Yeah, and it's also that Jayhawks tune. So it's the same.
A little bit, but and like, and this song was the Beatles, this and that. It's like, but of course there are chord progressions that happen naturally.
Right.
Every blues song is what you call 1-4-5. It's the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord in the scale. So, it's bound to happen.
A lot of times you see this, and it's unfortunate where the music publisher, not the original recording artist, but the music publisher sues the new version of the new allegedly appropriated song on behalf of the artist, and the artist doesn't even want that to happen. So that's unfortunate. I'll tell you a funny thing about that. It's Pump It Up,
right?
Because Pump It Up starts with the Elvis Costello track starts with this fantastic bass lift,
Yeah.
right?
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun, bom, bom, bom.
Right.
And I was reading this. It is such a cool riff, and I was reading this interview with Bruce Thomas, the bass player, who's one of the greatest bass players ever.
For the Attractions.
No longer has anything. They don't get along. But they were asking him about that riff, and you know what he said? He said it is the riff from The Price of Love by the Everly Brothers.
Named all the other songs.
Ending with You Really Got Me.
I love it.
By the Kinks.
Just
and that's
put
what
together.
it is.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
Well, before we get to another, the last thing I'm going to say about songs, there are the songs they played on that show when I was listening to it. They played Hush by Deep Purple.
Oh.
And then they played the Charlatans, was it Charlatans or Stone Roses? Their first song.
Roses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same. I think they got sued for that one.
Whoopsie. That can happen.
All right,
let's keep rolling.
Let's do it.
There were tremendous records already this year by female recording artists, and we're going to highlight a couple of those. The latest record, and I really try to focus on stuff that we haven't featured on the previous drops.
Of course.
This was a little earlier. Julian Baker. She's made 2 records prior that were more voice, guitar, and piano driven. But this is the first record with the full band, and it pretty much just topped everybody's best list out there. Unique vocalists. Again, if you really like Phoebe Bridgers or Lucy Dacus, they had a band together called Boy Genius, which I'm guessing is still a band, which was they did an EP.
Just learned something.
So she's a third of that, and I think that. But this is a cool record. It's definitely the subject material is harder hitting, so it will resonate with. It's not light pop by any stretch.
Indie store exclusive colored. It's on yellow vinyl.
Oh, there you go.
So come get yours.
People may not know Hayley Williams all that well by name, but they know Paramore.
Paramore, sure.
And Paramore right now this is her second solo album, but Paramore right now, their sales are crazy. Like all these fans, there's this kismet where people just are drawn to a certain band, and that is happening right there with them. And it's kind of funny. She's got a solo record. When they actually go back to making a new studio record, it's going to be huge.
Yeah,
but this record's gotten brilliant reviews. She's unique.
Love her voice too.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Love her
voice. Got the stuff.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
And let's talk about. You can't talk this year with records without talking about Arlo Parks, which is a breakthrough. Again, I think there were recordings before this. This might be the first LP, but English artist. She's only 20 years old. Really kind of writes about that kind of more English angst. I think the records had a little more of a slower burn here because the content is so English in origin. It's difficult to connect a little bit, but it's a super cool record. It's kind of
pretty chill.
It's pretty chill, but then it's edgy when it needs to be. But the quotes on there are fantastic.
Sure,
too.
Phoebe Bridgers says, an incredible poet. Oh, BBC, voice of our generation.
Voice of our generation. They went there.
Yeah, BBC should have said this week.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this record, Valerie June. This is Valerie. This record looks great.
That's a cool record.
Yeah,
look at that.
Kind of iridescent.
Yeah.
So Valerie kind of sings like Billie Holiday, but it's like a supermodel, which is an interesting dynamic.
Sure.
But this is her, I believe, third record. She is just tremendous. Every record that she's done so far is really top of the list for the year. This one's on track for that. It just sounds sublime. It's this kind of orchestrated, folky soul record. And her voice is just so unique. It's like that kind of crackly, later period Billie Holiday sound. And the way it meshes with the beauty of music is great. And she brings in, we can't get out of here without saying that she has Carl Thomas on 2 tracks.
Nice.
Who is, original Stax recording artist, and her big hit was Gee Whiz, and way their voices
bringing in some OG.
That is a beautiful record. I strongly recommend it.
Nice.
And we're going to talk. Let's talk some classic rock stuff. Why not?
Let's do it.
Are everybody knows this guy. Oh, there's another. Oh, this is really this. There's a new Alice Cooper record, and he's from Arizona, but grew up, born in Detroit.
Detroit originally,
This is his tribute to all the Detroit rockers.
Oh, okay. I heard about this.
And I think the general opinion on Alice Cooper's later records is there's always some great music on there, and then there's some kind of more forgettable record. But he really does swing for the fences. He's not one of those guys that's just on the perpetual tour making half-ass records.
Produced by Bob Ezrin.
Yeah, totally. They did Welcome to My Nightmare.
And did all the Kiss, the 70s Kiss albums for Casablanca. He did The Wall?
He did The Wall. So he's paired with him on occasion.
This was worth you tuning in just for that. Shout out to Intershell. I saw you earlier. I saw you pop up in the chat. What's up, little homie?
So all right. If you love Alice Cooper, this is a great way to reconnect with this artist because it's tunes that you know. And
this guy's kind of never stopped touring. Not that he's like a relentless road dog, but at least once a year or every 2 years, Alice Cooper has played shows his entire life. Yeah, always great show. And he does this cool thing where he mixes in maybe 15% of the show is more obscure material for the fans or album tracks that maybe even a little more than that. So there's something for everybody. You can go see it as someone who's basically kind of unfamiliar but knows who he is and have a great time at the show. But if you're a super fan, you're going to walk out. And his current guitarist, one of his current guitarists, Nina Strauss, did an interview, and she was pointing out that he's always been this guy that has had a hot shot player or whatever, but was very supportive of them moving on and doing. Yeah, he was always that guy. He was not bitter about it or you know what I'm saying? It's he was always really great about sharing and promoting other younger musicians to do other things. And don't people need to be where they feel they need to be? Yes. If you get that, your life's going to to be a lot easier. Yeah, and he's and I can give another phenom a chance. Yeah. We touched on this record previously, but and I know you're a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. One of my all-time favorites. Yeah. The new Cheap Trick record, In Another World, easily their best record in 10 or 12 years. God, it's today's going to get so expensive. And shout out, I have a dear friend who works closely with Tom Peterson, and he's doing very well after his open heart surgery. That's great. Yeah, that's great. So his recovery. Because they just announced they're playing in Houston. They're going to be at the arena. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town, which is a drag. That's one of my favorite places to see him. Yeah, that's a good place to see a show. Though if you have any kind of motion sickness, it's not maybe the best place with the rotating stage. Yeah, if anybody's not familiar with that. They have a rotating stage, which can be problematic for both audience members and. Okay, cool. Glad you picked that. Great record. Yeah. Hey, we're going to keep rocking. This record's topping a ton of best of lists. This Go Here band. They've been around for quite a while. Mm-hmm. But from France. This record is really connecting with people, and I think it's because it's very well rounded. There's elements that are very progressive on it, and then it's also there's a punk rock kind of feel to it. So it's very well rounded. It's just really connecting with people, and they're a cool band, and this is their time. This record's going to be a big record this year. I'm hoping this is the record that does it for me because they've never connected with me. It's on Roadrunner, and it's Joe Duplantier, I believe. Yeah. He's the singer, guitarist, primary chief songwriter. So I'm hoping it does it. There's always been one or two little things in there, like 80% of the song I love, and there's always one little thing in it that I'm like, that's I think with metal records, I think that's where a lot of the bands try to appeal to everybody. So they'll have a super fast. You have the breakdown, and if that's not your thing, then that's a problem. But I'm going to check this out for sure. And Andy Wallace produced that, which he's worked with tons of bands to make them sound great. Yeah. So I think that's why that record probably has a. I mean, they're huge in Europe. They're huge in Europe. Massive. Yeah. And South America as well. Yeah. Okay. Let's. This is one of my favorite records of the year. I can't remember if we talked about this before. Nope. I can tell you we didn't. Teenage Fan Club, Endless Arcade, their brand new record after 5. They only make a record every 5 or 6 years. Right. They're all people of a certain age like us that have kids and lives and stuff like that. I guess the thing that's notable about this record
there's always been 3 songwriters on every one of their records, three principal members with the songs divided up evenly. One of the guys stepped off, so this record's very different, that it's kind of bifurcated between the 2 writers. Right. But it's if you like, Beatlesque.
And is this one of those Guitar Store autographed?
It is, yeah. We have signed lithographs that are free with the purchase of the LP. I think we just have a few of those left, but that's a great record.
Teenage Fan Club fans.
A great way to connect with the band.
I don't think it was the first record. What was the first record that really made some noise over here? I mean, it was the late 80s, early 90s.
It was
that's
the
one that 13,
I bought. The record with the soccer ball sitting in the water.
Yeah, that's the one I bought.
And then Grand Prix that followed that, and 13. They kind of had 3 records consecutively.
Right. All of a sudden, it was Teenage Fan Club. Yeah. Never got to see them, though. And I know that they toured
a couple times, but now
a few times.
Yeah, they might do the stage.
Yeah, we're not going to see that.
This is a staff favorite. I'm throwing this in there. This band, I believe this is their 2nd record in the States. Undu Mokhtar. I'm probably butchering that.
Better than
I hear like 3 different voices.
Yeah.
Say it, but this is Nigerian psychedelic jam rock, and it's awesome. It kind of just goes there. Great, improvisational guitar, but rooted in an Afrobeat vibe.
I want to say like Premier Guitar. Somebody wrote up their guitarist,
it's incredible.
Which is the guy it's named for.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with fans might be Tanarawin and some of the other African rock groovy artists. This is.
I love the color. I mean, the cover like just screams like 1970.
Yeah, and I think a lot of rock fans are apprehensive about world music. If you are, check this thing.
This will change your mind.
It is immediate and compelling and super cool.
Love it. We're learning stuff.
Let's talk about a band that makes a ton of records. Some of them are good. Some of them are great.
Yeah.
Some of them we won't even mention. But fans and casual fans alike are raving about this Weezer record, and they've already put another record out since this one.
Yeah,
but this is.
Didn't they do a cover for the Metallica thing for the whatever 30th anniversary of Black or whatever they did? I think
they did. Well, they did an album that was all covers, and they did an album. The new one is Van Weezer,
right? But I think on that Metallica tribute, I think they have one of the songs on there, and somebody was talking about it, and they said that Weezer will cover anything.
Yeah, totally. They're, and too with the Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen's passing, obviously that's a reference for those guys.
I've seen them a few times. Always a good show.
Yeah, always a good show.
Always a good show.
And but this record's kind of more orchestral version of some of their tunes. But that All My Favorite Songs tune is terrific. It's just 1 out of 3 Weezer records, you'd be like, well, gotta get the whole record.
Right.
But they always have good singles. But this is that record. I purposely didn't include any reissues, but I think this record we've talked about
worth talking about it
defies reissues. When it was issued, we did a
whole segment on it. Yeah. And early in the pandemic, we did that Zoom call, you and me.
Yeah. So this is interesting. This is Tom Petty, Finding Wildflowers. It's the alternative version of the album.
Right.
So when we originally discussed this, it was like 6 different versions, a giant box set. So this was 2 of the LPs in the ginormous box set,
which I have.
Which they figured out, from fan reaction that the 2 LPs that were the alternate version album were like too great to just be hidden in a box.
That's what everybody loved. Yeah.
Yeah. So they put this out, and if you love this record, it kind of recontextualizes it. And it's just awesome.
So if you don't want to jump into the big box or get the whole thing,
this is it. This is it. And it's and everything we're talking about is available on CD as well as LP.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I've got it.
Let's go with we'll end with the Texas guys, but let's talk about a jazz record. This we're going to get really in there for this. This is one of the coolest records of the
Pharoah
year.
Sanders, yes, indeed.
So Floating Points is Sam Shepard. He's an electronic music producer.
Oh, wait a minute. Alice says, grew up listening to Tom Petty because of my dad. Oh. Shout out to Alice.
Shout out to the dad.
I know, right? Hope he's feeling better.
So Sam Shepard, electronic music producer from the UK. This is 3 different worlds colliding. You have Floating Points, electronic music producer. You have the London Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
And you have 80-year-old, one of the greatest
Sanders.
living
Absolutely.
jazz saxophonists.
Without question.
And this record is, it's minimalist. It's just like these big swells of sound from the London Symphony Orchestra with Pharoah Sanders sax.
So is this new music? Is this brand new music written for this project? Wow. Okay.
And it's on Luakabak, which is David Byrne's label. And man, it is just unlike, you don't have a record like this in your collection. And you should.
And we talk about this, having those things in your collection that when your friends come over, you just put it in the background and they'll eventually what is that?
If you get some music nerds coming to your house, this will put you over with them. That'll be good.
Let's get you the points, man.
Hey, we got some Texas
Let's
stuff
do it.
here.
Let's do some Texas.
Last. This is, and I was thinking about it, it's like after we picked all these records, this is, I think, the only lockdown record that I picked. But Houston guy, Hayes Carl, performed at Cactus many, many times. One of our favorite guys. He's aces.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of live streams on through his site, and this is kind of the best of all those. And it's some of his best known material.
He's been at it for a while too.
New stuff. It's just a fun record, man. He's hilarious.
Nice.
And great versions of the songs that you don't already know, and it's got guests on it like Ray Wiley Hubbard. And it's just a fun listen. Yeah. Great soundtrack for the great summer record.
There you go.
Great hanging out.
$12. Pick it up.
This record is Willie Nelson, That's Life. And, Willie is just, nothing's going to slow him down. He makes probably 4 records a year. And
I did not know that.
A lot like his label mate on Columbia, Bob Dylan, he has kind of become obsessed with Frank Sinatra's catalog, and this is an album of all Frank Sinatra records.
Oh, of course it is. I'm looking at these songs, though. That's a very familiar title.
Yeah, so you got Luck Be a Lady, That's Life, The Wee Small Hours of the Morning,
I Won't Dance, Diana Krall's on that.
Yeah, and including, I've Got You Under My Skin, including some lesser-known Sinatra tracks.
Yeah.
But his voice is on it. It's such a cool record. I encourage people to pick this one up, even if you haven't picked up a Willie record in a while. This is one.
He could sing the Oscar Mayer baloney jingle,
and totally. And he might have,
and it would be amazing.
And the cover, put the cover back up again. So that is a recreation of a very famous
Frank Sinatra
cover, and they repainted it to look
Willie.
like it. I mean, although the cover is as cool as the music, and the music is exceedingly cool.
I love it.
Last one, we're going to feature again Houston, Texas guy. Steve Earle. And so Steve Earle's been doing this series of LPs where he records a catalog of famous musicians that he admires. He did a Townes record. He did a Guy Clark record.
Right.
Unfortunately, his son passed away during COVID.
Right.
And this is him doing all of Justin's songs.
Wow.
And all the proceeds benefit Justin's daughter. And it's a great record. It's a weird record. It's an emotional record, but it's one people should pay attention to.
Yeah.
It fits in great with his. It's amazing how well it fits with Steve's. Granted, they're both Americana singer-songwriters, but it's a unique record.
He's just one of those guys. He's such a boss.
And we love Justin here. He played the store numerous times, and it was just some of the best musical conversations about music and roots music I've ever had with people were with JT, and
right.
This is a great record. It's a great way to discover, because I think people know Steve. Steve sold millions of records.
Of course.
JT sold thousands of records. So this is a good way to hear all of his best songs. Yeah, and it closes with an original Steve Earle song about JT. So it's grab the Kleenex before you're.
It's going to tug at the heartstrings. All right, so I was walking around the store before we shut it down, and I just saw a couple of things that I would either maybe get for myself or want to give as a gift, because there's always cool stuff in here. You guys have not been down to the old Cactus Music. You need to. A buddy of mine is the biggest Buzz Cox fan in the world. Now, I love this guy. I don't know if I'm going to spend the $57.98 just to give him the gift.
Well, the good thing is their whole catalog has been reissued on vinyl, in some cases with colored vinyl, and they sound better than before. So that might be an option.
Okay, well there you go. I saw this one. I've never seen this one before.
Great cover.
And I've been trying to expand my Cuban and Afro-Cuban jazz collection. So this might be one that I get for myself. A lot of the names that since, Rycooter unearthed all those musicians in Buena Vista Social Club, it's funny how you go back and find these guys on different albums. This is recorded back in 1996 in Paris, France. And then this one would probably be one for myself, just because I'm sorry to say I do not own any Fela.
Fela is it's confounding if you're new to the party, because he has more albums than I probably have blood cells, and they all have like 2 songs on them. So if there's no
it's a 30-minute jam. Each one's like a 30-minute jam.
But they put that record's very cool. People have looked, and the thing is,
it's
the original
50th anniversary.
So the originals of those records are remarkably difficult to find and expensive. So they've all been reissued. Pretty much his whole catalog's available. There is a 2 CD set that makes sense of his catalog, and I think that has expanded to 4 LPs if I'm not mistaken. But I think with that guy, it's like jazz. You just pick one and jump in there. The problem is if you look at any of the like All Music or a site like that, they all have 4 stars. So it's like, which one do I go for?
What do I do? All right, man. Well, good stuff. So next week after the holiday, do we get back on the regular schedule of releases?
There's some good releases next week, and with the odds and ends that came out this week, and I think we'll be able to feature some good stuff.
We're gonna have to do something at one point that's just all boxes.
We can do that.
Because I'm seeing some stuff over there that kind of some mind-blowing thing. I'm not going to give it away, but that might be one of the deals.
And there's always a bunch of new boxes as you get closer to the holidays. That's definitely a good time.
Love it,
because you can put those on your Christmas list and say, "But baby, it's just one record."
Todd the Bod, working on my 4th of July playlist. Any recommendations on unexpected USA themed songs? Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, you might not want to go with the standard.
Sure, Born in the USA,
Stars and Stripes,
God, you got me.
John Phillips Sousa thing. You might want to really stretch out there and.
Man, that's a good one.
Thinking the first one that pops in my mind is actually really downbeat, that Margot Price "American Made" song, which is but it's quiet kind of tune.
I'm stumped.
Everything that pops in my mind is really obvious.
Right. Right. I don't know if it's hard to come up with stuff that hasn't been, discussed. Oh, Jen and V, what's up? What are your favorite music genres? All right, Quinn.
Well, that changes.
You don't have one. Yeah,
daily.
You don't have one.
I hear so much. My thing here at the store is I rarely pick music
to
play. I let the staff pick.
Yeah.
So that way I'm always exposed to new stuff. But,
right.
From day to day, it might be like I love, 60s and 70s soul records. I like jazz music from the 50s. Of course, was steeped in classic rock,
right,
and discovered country later. So it's kind of interesting because day to day might be country day, might be rock and roll day. It's really hard to
For
say.
me, it depends, because who drops by my house or whose house I drop by.
Right.
Because if they're like, hey, play something, like a buddy of mine's got everything set up, speakers everywhere in the house. He'll just slide the phone over because it's iTunes.
Yeah. That's
play
great.
Something. So I always take into consideration kind of like what he likes.
Yeah.
But if I'm at home and it's just me, it is the weirdest. One thing doesn't make sense. Well, maybe it kind of does, because I'll go from for the other day, I was listening to Jethro Tull Essentials.
Yeah.
And then I had De La Soul on.
Well, you were feeling a little fluty.
I was feeling a little fluty. I had some De La Soul on. And then I've been listening to old Genesis. I guess I've been a little proggy lately.
That's cool.
So
I was listening to some
a lot of jazz too.
My kids.
Taylor Miller. I like a man on guitar. Okay, what would you recommend? Preferably a young artist. Oh, a man on a guitar player.
Guitar player.
Young cat, up and coming.
I mean,
Texas's own Zach Person's making some noise, you know.
Yeah,
he's a young cat on
trying
guitar.
To think what's new on. It's younger.
There's a couple. I mean, if you're into country and just like that Nashville chicken picking Daniel Donato.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Shreds, you know, he's a monster. Singer-songwriter. How about singer-songwriter? Younger singer-songwriter. Mecca Thompson. That's your question.
Well, I think that the young people that have been buying records over the past, really aggressively over the past 5 to 7 years, not everybody's going to stick with it, but I think that a lot of the people that were doing that and engaged in that, we've cultivated a fan base for vinyl records that is going to sustain indie records. Will it ever be that mainstream? Probably not, but it will sustain independent record stores for decades to come.
Especially DJs that actually play vinyl, that part of DJ culture has done a lot to
and you look at what's happening now. I mean, you know, if you're watching a TV program, you know, you're binge watching a TV program series, you're going to see a turntable in there. You're going to watch a commercial, you're going to see a turntable in there. Like turntable culture is really permeated pop culture. And that's, I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
Little silver lining of the pandemic. I think you were telling me you sold quite a few.
Well, yeah, people were spending more time at home and love music. I talked to tons of people that had records but didn't have them. Yeah. I mean, let's face it, people are doing a lot of trying to be busy around the house. Right. And I think they re-engaged with their record collection and decided to build upon it.
Yeah, for sure. Javi says, what TV shows do you guys think has great music? This has become a thing in a lot of Netflix series. It's to where I'm like constantly hitting Shazam. You know?
And that's what they want you to do. You know, that's great.
There's a British show, a British series, End of the Effing World, or it's the End of the Effing World, or whatever. They had some amazing stuff in there. You couldn't get through one show without having to Shazam something. There's so many I can't even put my finger on.
And this is really your question, because honestly, I'm not a huge TV guy. I basically watch whatever my kids want to watch, or what my wife is into. But I do notice all the time, wow, they're playing this crazy track from whatever, you know, that's such a cool song. It's from the third album by this band or whatever. And my wife's like, really? I don't know. I don't. You know, okay, so I will tell you this. There's definitely a trend, and I noticed this in the Netflix series, of a very popular song, like a popular indie kind of song, but being remade by someone. The first time I really noticed it, she's a French pianist, and she did "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies, and it turned up in a show, and I was like, what is that melody? I'm like, and of course, it's exactly what it is, but it's very slow and very, you know, and it's like, da, 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 da. You know, that's a big trend right now. Great music creates such a hook for these shows and draws you into whatever scene. Very effective.
All right, well, guys, we're going to wrap it because this man has a business to run. I'm going to go home and take a nap. All right, thanks for watching episode 6. Next week, more. We'll have some new releases, and thanks for everybody that jumped in the chat. Hit the share button, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Peace. You just got to roll with it.